Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the greatest show of the... What's that noise in the background? Does someone have a motorbike just go past? I was just about to do the best intro ever, and Marissa's got like a motorbike in her flat. Marissa, are you living on the A12 or something?
Basically, yeah.
Anyway, good evening and welcome to a live show tonight. We record these lives because we're stupid and we don't care. This is our award-winning long run show podcast brought to you by 40 Rounds and the 40 Rounds YouTube channel, which you can subscribe to for free. It's amazing, isn't it? It's free. Good evening, Ben, who's joining us, who's just cleaned his camera because he had some muck on the camera lens on his laptop. We've got Hayden down there who's got his Boston hat on. I think he's quite happy about it. I'm going to get a Chicago hat, by the way, when I'm in Chicago.
What team's in Chicago? Show us your knowledge.
Cubs.
Very good.
There you go. You're welcome. And then... And I do have a Chicago Bulls T-shirt as well. Nice. So I'm going full in on the Chicago side of things. And Marissa's up there, as I said to you, on the A12. And tonight, on this show, on this award-winning podcast, we're going to be talking about and helping you get over this sort of post-run, post-race, post-training block blues. Now, some people talk about marathon blues. Other people call it something else, but basically what to do after a big training block. Now that can be catch the 5K. You've gone and had a real go at a 10K. So this is all relevant for all walks of life. We're sort of honing on a little bit of this because last weekend was the Manchester and London Marathon and some other events and spring marathon season. Although we've got some guys and girls doing the Edinburgh Marathon, but it's sort of coming to a close. I think that's fair to say. So that's what we're going to kind of delve into in a little bit. All right. Just a pre-warning to everybody. Next week, we're not here live. We're doing a pre-record after this because we've got the Leeds Marathon weekend, which is a big one for us. So I'm heading personally up there. I'm going to Wakefield Park, Thorns Park Run. Thorns, thank you very much. Park Run. I'm then doing the Memory Mile, and then I'm doing the half marathon on the Sunday. So hopefully I'll get to see some of you guys and girls when we're up there. But I am live on Monday for the usual Monday night show if you want to talk coaching stuff and running shoes and things like that. If you are joining us live, I'm just about to put up the chat feature comment thing, whatever you call it. So thanks very much to everybody. There we are. So good evening to everybody for joining us. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We really appreciate it. Get your comments, get your questions in as we go through the show. Is important and this show works. We've got some exciting stuff coming to 40 Runs. In particular with the podcast as well. We were going to be heading back into the studio soon as well. And we've got some other cool stuff which we can hopefully announce sooner rather than later. So I think that's it. What else? Oh, if you've not renewed your membership, make sure you do. Your affiliated 40 Rounds Running Club membership, make sure you renew. And if you haven't joined as a 40 Rounds affiliated running club member, maybe wait a week because the membership secretary is under a bit of pressure at the moment because there's so many people joining, right?
She asked you specifically not to say this tonight.
So, no, I'm actually saying, in a way, actually, not to join for a week because, bless them, right? Because EA don't spend any of their money on the systems. They spend it all on advertising at big shows and spend all our membership money at doing stuff like that. They don't have a system that can keep up with the demand. And because all you lot are joining like nutters, which we love, and thank you very much to everybody who's joining us, whether you're joining to get the 15% off at sportshoes.com or you're joining to because you want to be in our London Marathon ballot or get an opportunity to like the 8 people that we gave marathon places to last year, whatever the reason, or you just want to be part of the team, you want to be an affiliated member, we love that. Thank you very much. But you can join as a free member as well. Yeah, there's no barrier to entry. But if you are going to join as an affiliate member, can you do it next week? Because the membership secretary is under a bit of pressure. And I got told off, basically. That's the real reason. There's too many of you joining. So sorry about that. So, yeah, just wait a week and then you can get your 15% off at sportshoes.com. Right, team, how are we doing? Marissa, how are you?
How did you know you were going to come to me first?
How's your shin splints?
Good. I've actually damaged my knee now.
Are you like a walking wounded or something?
At the moment, yeah, but I'm trying to run tomorrow. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I'm all right.
What have you done to your knee?
Oh, she just said it's the tendon from something off my leg going under my kneecap.
Something to do with your knee and your leg?
Yeah, something like that.
That narrows it. Well, I'll tell you, 50 quid well spent there. Yeah, well done.
If I
putting your camera on your laptop, what else you been up to?
Not much. We're eating.
Eating. I know it's been this week, isn't it?
Brilliant. Love it.
And what about you, Boston Superstar? Hayden, that's you, by the way.
What have I been up to? Straight back into work, mate. Full-time work. Busy time of year at work for me. So all about work and all about spent too much time on socials looking at everyone, what they've done over the marathon in the last week. Spent too much time feeling emotional, seeing all these posts and stuff. It's been a tough week, to be fair.
Yeah, it's been an incredible week. You put a post in the Facebook group today. If you're not joined that yet, then join it. You know, those pictures was unbelievable. Like there was 20-something pictures. I mean, there could have been 210 pictures. And let's give a shout out to Kim, by the way, Kimmy, who does. You need to. Oh yeah, let's see this from Mick Brain. Sorry. We heard EA talking utter rubbish. I'll put the word rubbish in there at the Expo last week, telling people to join with them because if you did it with a club, you will need to pay their joint fee as well. Honestly, England Athletics should be ashamed of themselves. They're getting to the point where they're just getting desperate. But well done, Mick, for sticking up for us. Let's keep going. Let's take down the establishment. Let's have so many people join FORDY Runs Running Club, that we become England Athletics. And then what we'll do is we'll shut England Athletics down because we are England Athletics. Does that make any sense to anybody? Probably not. But we will invest in the kids running. So Hayden, in terms of the pictures and stuff, it was pretty unbelievable. Kim done an amazing job capturing London. Almost we needed another Kim up in Manchester.
I must be honest, and you said a few minutes ago about the benefits of joining the club. I know we don't want to keep going about joining the club. You said about it, but you know what? That's such an underestimated benefit. We've got two photographers, Kim, she's at big events, also Miles is sometimes. They come along and capture these pictures that they're just as good as the professionals, if not sometimes better, because they're closer up and they've got that more interest in us. They're completely free. Just put them out to you. Use your photos, do what you want. Just give me credit. But as you said, I was looking for it today, thinking let's have a little summary of April because it's been so amazing. I didn't know where to start with the pictures. Brighton, London, Boston, landmarks. There was park runs. There's just so much there. A few of them sort of caught my eye with the cuddles, and I thought, you know what? Let's have a little bit of a montage of the emotion that shows it, and literally it just comes out. It just exudes it, doesn't it? It's incredible to see. It really is.
It is. It's unbelievable. It really is. And we're going to talk about in depth the marathon spring season in next week's podcast. We won't go into the sort of warts and all of it. Anyway, but one thing I did want to touch on before we got into the sort of the post-marathon sort of what to do after the training block side of things, the sort of sensible stuff. What I wanted to do is kind of take a moment to sort of give a shout out to all the people who trained really hard for 16 weeks and then they turned up on race day and it was the complete opposite of what they'd been training in. And it wasn't anywhere near what they expect. Now, Philip Watts coming to our Monday live stream, and we'll talk about running shoes, and I'll give you some feedback on your question about the ASIC shoes. But yeah, I think a lot of people are upset with themselves, and I can understand it. They were frustrated. They were feeling lucky. They were feeling blessed. There was a lot of emotion after Sunday if you did London and Manchester because of the conditions that you were dealt. Okay. What today I was having a great conversation with Chris who ran London, and it was along the lines of actually I quite like, this might sound a bit weird, but I quite actually like the fact that it was really hot and really sunny, because what I think it actually did, it was Mother Nature's way, right, of sort of leveling the playing field, of leveling the ground. There's a TikTokification of running marathons. There's a generation that have got into running, which is brilliant. And some of it I do think has got a little bit sort of overconfident with some of the stuff that goes into marathon training and running these marathons and things like that. It's like I'm just going to go and run a marathon. And I'm going to do 2 of them this week. And I'm going to run from here and I'm going to do this. And I think what Mother Nature did on Sunday was just level everybody back to ground zero and go, you know what? This is 26.2 miles. It's bloody hard. And I'm going to prove to you how hard it is because you lot down there are thinking this is easy. So you can take your really like saucy stuff that you're putting all on TikTok, and you can take your dangerous shakeout runs in the middle of London and all this sort of stuff. And I'm just going to flatten it. And I think the best thing, other than the charities, by the way, in London, which I've got to give a shout out to because they made so much money at the London Marathon and across the board. So well done them. But I think the biggest winner on Sunday was actually running, because it proved once again how hard it actually can be. And it's not a bad thing in terms of all the social media stuff, but it gets a little bit out of control when you see everybody going out there and smashing live days, and people feel under pressure because, I've seen some geezer do this, seen some geezer do that. It was brilliant how much of a leveler Sunday was. Now, I'm glad that also, I just want to give a shout out to, and I'll come on to you guys. I just want to say as also how brilliant St. John's Ambulance were, right? The volunteers, the marshals, London Marathon events and human race events, or whatever they're called, in terms of the amount of water and the support on course during that tough time. They did an amazing job. But St. John's Ambulance in particular as well, the teams were so good, so on people, so quickly. So a big shout out to them. But I just thinking to myself today, before the show, I just think Mother Nature just went, you know what, you lot down there, you can jog on, mate, with your thinking marathons are easy. Have some of that. And I think you would have learned so much about yourself in that race, and you would have realised how hard marathons actually can be, because you train for 16 weeks and it's not going to be your day every time. I think it's brilliant. Ben, what do you think?
Yeah, I was just looking at Matt's comment in there saying you could tell who the TikTokers were dressed in black and running in on shoes, and they didn't know what had hit a mile 20. I think that kind of sums it up. You know, Sunday was so hard, like genuinely, and I'm saying that like that was my 9th marathon. That was probably the toughest one I'd done. Those conditions, you cannot go out there. You have to respect the conditions. We said it last week, and I think I've seen a lot on social media this week about people beating themselves up or being really, really gutted that they didn't hit their times. And it, you know, we said it last week. There's times for PBs and there's times just to go out and kind of enjoy the experience. And we said we'd had a bit of a plan, and we sat in Greenwich for 10 minutes and changed the plan because it
changed clothes as well.
Well, yeah, to be fair, we did, but we were just like, do you know what? Actually, today is just about getting to that finish line and having as much fun as we can. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I had the best time, and mile 18, for those who know, coming round that corner to the cheer squad, is just something else. It's off the scale. So yeah, a hard day at the office, but as you say, I think running one.
Yeah, and Paris, there was. Ben, you know this, and I'll come on to the other two about what I've said. But wasn't it the highest number of non-finishers or something
for Paris? Yeah, I think so.
3,800 or didn't finish who started.
Now, I put a lot of this down to the fact of a lot of people are using like the coaching apps and stuff like that. And I think they're obviously training hard and all this sort of stuff. I wonder how much of that is down to that in terms of their over training in a way.
And I read as well for Paris, I think it was the highest starting field with people who'd never run a marathon before as well. So I think, you know, maybe that, I don't know if that's got something to do with it.
Yeah, and I don't know the answer in terms of, but because with the AI, I don't know exactly how it works, but I wonder if they're almost overcooking a lot of their training, and they're getting to the start line actually overtrained. I wonder if that's an element of it, and it'll be interesting to see whether that's a theme because of the high percentage of people using them. And again, it's great that people are using them. I think it's a good thing, right? Don't get me wrong. But I wonder how much now that generation which are using them, like as you say, we call them the TikTokers. It's a bit unfair, but how much of that non-finishers is that people? It's interesting. I don't know the answer, by the way. I'm not pointing fingers. I don't know, but it's an interesting trend that may be appearing, and it's a worrying thing if that's true. But if it's not, then it's probably just one of those things. But it was interesting how high the number of Paris non-finishers were, and as I said to you, the people were all going into London, let's say all over. So I'm going to go and run sub 3. I'm going to go and do this, and I'm going to go and do that, and then all of a sudden, Mother Nature, as I said, she turns around and goes, "You ain't going to do any of that, sunshine. These marathons are hard for a reason, and have some of that." Do you know what I mean?
And did you see this? You know, there were celebs. Joel Dommett went out, had trained
Collapsed.
for sub 3, collapsed at, was it mile 17, and then was in an ambulance for about 3 hours before he could.
Had a drink and then went and finished.
Yeah.
But massive shout out again to the because they're just honestly just heroes. Like Chris, we're talking about Chris. He had an incident. I think it was a mile 23. Again, Chris has trained like brilliantly. Like I had the best training block ever. Yeah, and is in the form of his life at the moment. But he said, and he's a runner who usually would push. He'd get halfway and then he'd push on, he'd kick on. Right, he has done every time he's run. But he had a tough second half, and he was sensible and he backed off. But he got to sort of mile 20, and he got taken out by some person on their phone or something, like literally wiped him out. But the St. John's ambulance were right there, picked him up, said, "You're right, mate." And he went, "No." And it got himself together. They put him in a tent. They made sure there was 4 other guys in there on oxygen. Made sure he was all right. And then he walked the last mile. But the thing is that he was saying it was just like it was carnage. And this goes back to my point about, it's very easy to sit here as someone who's experienced running marathons, to make that call, right? But I just wonder how much of it is down to pure, I was going to say ignorance, but in terms of not respecting is probably a better way. The distance is probably a better way of saying it. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like, it's 20
I think
miles.
There is an evolution. There's a change of mindset with people as well. Whereas you go back to London Marathon 15 years ago, people would come out and say, "Look, I run London Marathon." Everyone's like, "Bloody hell, wow!"
Yeah.
Nowadays, definitely one of the questions someone says to you, "I've run London Marathon." You're like, "Oh, brilliant, well done." What sort of time do you come in?
What was your time?
Yeah. Before, no one used to ask this. This is a different thing. So nowadays, people are getting more. I spoke to a lady. I won't say her name. FORDY, who she's really unhappy at her performance in London. Putting aside all the stuff in Mother Nature and that, and she's really unhappy with the performance. I'm like, you just run the bloody London Marathon.
I mean.
It's something you need to scream from the rooftops about. But to be upset because you was nowhere near your time, you should have been in that. But that is the mindset of it's not a new generation, because it's not all about youngsters. But I just think everyone's become competitive, and they want that next level. And by getting maybe a training app or a coach or a training plan, whatever, you're pushing yourself. Yeah. There's a guy in the community called Pokey. He actually was going out. I think he was running about 3 hours, 10. He got to Buckingham Palace, turned the corner, straight out, collapsed, straight out, taken into an ambulance. Was in an ambulance for about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes. Actually came around after that and walked down. Silly enough, didn't walk through the finish line, walked around the outskirts. Did it so he didn't get a finish, got a DNF. But literally, he collapsed at Buckingham Palace, and he openly said it was too hot. And he said, I just kept pushing. I kept thinking, I want that time. And that was his focus. But this has now changed everything for him, and his mindset. He was speaking to us the other day, and his mindset has changed now. He's like, I will never do that again. I will listen to my body. I will know. Forget the times. It's going to be about your health and looking after yourself.
Yeah, and again, right, that I think a lot of that, I mean, it's just common sense, but I get why people get fixated on certain things. I get that, as I'm going to go and do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to whatever. But I think again, it was a humbling experience. And I tell you what I was just so blown away by. Okay, well, we're getting there because we'll talk about it properly next week. I'm more about the fact of how the events took place. But it was the guys in the fancy dress and stuff. We saw a fireman, geezer with a teddy bear, all that. And even fair play to is it Ramesh Ranganathan? I might get the number wrong, right? I might get this number wrong. But I swear I saw it was like 14 grand he's raised, or might even be 94. It was an astonishing amount of money that he'd raised. And he got round in like 6 and a bit hours. He was trying to go under 5 and all this sort of stuff. And rightly so, he didn't, because he just got through it. But the amount of money that people were out there, and they were like trying to just finish for the charities, and I think that was sort of the best bit of it, really. But yeah, I don't know. It was an observation. I was thinking to myself about this today. I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that we got tested in a sick way. I kind of like the fact that it wasn't easy. I kind of like the fact that it was a test, and Mother Nature showed her teeth at us, and went, you know what, you lot, you can do one. Get back out there.
Chris, can I ask you a question? So you've done Brighton as well.
Yeah.
So comparing like for like, because Brighton was bloody hot as well. So
this
one, you seem to be ramping up the fact that this was tougher. This was
Yeah,
more
was
minds.
tougher.
This was tougher. For what? But was London hotter than Brighton, or is it just the fact that it was London?
It had no air. Brighton, you had the breeze. And Brighton caught up with everybody at about mile 18. I might be wrong. Some people probably before that, some people after. But in general, it caught up with everybody about mile 18. Like, because I said, I caught Tobe up, got him to 20 miles. We've done like this loop, come back past 18, and everybody was then walking. But I think because you had the breeze, and fundamentally, it's probably a tougher course, you could argue, because of the hills. But there was just, I remember when Ben and I went through round like past Narrow Street into like moving towards Mud Chute. I think we said it on the video that we put out. There was just literally no air. Like there was nothing. You couldn't, and the faster you got, the more you overheated, and the slower you got to try it turned into like, this is too slow. My legs are seizing up, or I'm getting cramped like Nick did. So you couldn't, you were stuck between a rock and a hard place. Where at least Brighton, you could slow down and then you could get some of that breeze and you could come into it. So I think that was it. I definitely think that was it. But also, I think we've got to remember with London, it's a world major. People are there to run specific times. You've got an unbelievable elite field, right? An unbelievable, probably one of the most competitive elite fields for a long time in London. People go there to run a time. It's, with the world major thing to it. So I think that puts a little bit more pressure on the whole experience of running times and things like that. And I think, but it's a good point though you made. I think that it's a good observation. People do turn around and say they don't. Oh, well done on running London. Oh, that's awesome. No, what time did you do?
It's true.
But I wonder if they know what's a good time and what's a bad time.
Probably not. It's just something to ask, like when your kids say to you, "Where you been at a race? Oh, did you win?"
No.
No, I didn't win. I'm never going to win.
Exactly. It's that same sort of thing. Anyway, so it was just it was an interesting observation, and I kind of, as I said to you, I kind of like it. I kind of like the fact that it reminded everybody how hard marathons can be. You train for 16, 18, 20 weeks, and all of a sudden, Mother Nature sticks two fingers up to you and says, "Crack on with that, mate." You know what I mean? I think it's beautiful, and I think it makes everybody mentally tougher, physically tougher. I just love. That's what I love about marathons. Is they're bloody hard, and that's why I get frustrated when people don't respect them. And that's why I get frustrated with that current generation that we've got, unfortunately. But there's nothing we can do about it. It is what it is, and hopefully they all learn something on Sunday, which is make sure you thank all the St John's ambulance people and thank all the volunteers and thank all the supporters. I saw it was Ben. We saw supporters helping runners as well, which is just incredible. And that's the great British spirit, on London Marathon Day. And the spectators, by the way, were unbelievable in terms of getting everybody around. So yes, thank you for that, everybody who did that. Ben, have we got anything in the chat?
Yes, there's loads in the chat. I know you were just testing to make sure I'm awake. There is
Stevie's comment about meeting you at the urinal, Chris. That was his highlight of the marathon on Sunday.
You're welcome. But the best thing was we got. I don't know who the lady was that she got a picture of me behind the urinals. Ben was obviously hanging around the back of the toilets like usual.
Ben likes a urinal.
Loves hanging around the back of a toilet. And this lady come up and I was like in a prison because I was in like this corner bit where all these railings were. And I didn't know what to do with myself. Didn't know where to look. And Ben had disappeared. I don't know where he'd gone. And, but it's just the most random thing. But yeah, so thank you to that, whoever said it. It was really nice. Honestly, Jerry, people, all the shout outs and that lot and everything like that. It was really nice. But I think I have to say, actually, just to finish on it, again, we're going to come onto this next week. But I do feel a bit sorry for Manchester because it was an unbelievable event up there and it kind of got overshadowed. And I don't think that's right. I think, look, they can't do nothing about Easter. But I go back to my point. I know next year they're doing a week apart, so that's good. So hopefully it helps. But I do go back to my point about it would be awesome, like if we had like London here and because they did London in October, didn't they? So and then maybe Manchester. I know people got upset with me for saying it, but I just think it would be really cool. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just something about it, but I think it got a bit overshadowed and it shouldn't have done because it looked like a brilliant event.
Same as landmarks and Brighton, wasn't it? There's been a few clashes this year, which are unfortunate, but
Brighton again. London Landmarks, fantastic event. Like raises so much money for charity. We're all in for that sort of stuff here. So yeah. Okay. All right. So let's sort of drift on a little bit and talk about this sort of post-marathon blues, what to do after training block, that side of things. You two, Marissa 6-star finisher and Hayden, what do you feel after you'd done Boston? I mean, I wonder if this is a good question. Did it help having London and everybody doing London, so it sort of took your mind off of not having completed the distance? Marissa, we'll start with you.
I was so excited about London. I know I wasn't running it, but literally I was more excited about the cheer station than anything else.
Yeah.
So it really helped me. I didn't really get the blues after Boston.
Okay.
Plus
About you?
Injured, so
Yeah, because you got your shin splints, you caused yourself. Hayden, about you?
Yeah, in general, it would have been exactly the case as you said, but obviously this time it's a little bit different because I was running with my wife Louisa, and it was all about her. It weren't about me. There's no pictures of me in my medal or anything. I was a side.
We don't care. No one cares about you and your medal. No one cares.
That's fair enough. I'll take that all day. Yeah. So for that reason, for me, it wasn't as much. But what you're saying is absolutely true. It doesn't have to be Boston. It could have been anywhere. I think, as you said, once you get to that point, as we're going to talk about now, it's difficult, and it's a fact, and it happens, and we've all been there, we've all done it, and we'll all continue to be there and do it as well.
Ben, how have you felt this week?
Bit deflated, really. Like it's. I think you build up so much to kind of. I'm going to call it race day, run day, right? Whether it's you're racing it, running it, or whatever. But that's kind of that day that you put all of that into, and then the next day you kind of I think what's great about the big events, and we shouted out Kim, is that there's just been pictures all over, and that's been great to kind of see. But the longer the week's gone on, it's almost that kind of like, okay, that like the.
I'm sick and tired of seeing it all now. I'm sick and tired.
Why you're wearing your t-shirt?
I'm sick and tired of seeing people in Japan today. Nobody cares. One of you could just put the pictures out of the ASICS shoes, right? Nobody cares about that you're out there. And the second thing is that I'm now bored of all the London Marathons posts. It's like we've got to do all this social media stuff. Yeah, we know it was last week and we've seen it all. We don't need to see it. Yeah, I'm wearing I'm wearing this because it was on top of the pile. Genuinely. But I don't know about you, but I'm sort of saturated with it all.
You're just a miserable sod.
Yes. I'm not saying I'm not.
I haven't done mine yet. I might do it tomorrow.
Done what?
Yeah, do it. No, do it tonight.
I haven't done a social post yet.
Oh.
I think, Joe, with this whole marathon thing, I think you can equate it in a way. I was thinking about this earlier. It's almost like it's not on the same level because I don't get shot for this, but it's like a bit like a wedding day. So when you plan to get married and you plan so far in advance, there's so much that goes into that planning, so much hyping up, so much worry when you get near the time. Am I going to be unwell? This happens, that I want to look good. Everything that goes into it, you put so much time and effort, and so much of your life is focused to that. And all your friends and family, you get there on the day, you have an absolute incredible day. It goes so quick. Same as these people that run 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours at the marathon. I know it was a slog, but ultimately that would have went quicker than it would have sitting 6 hours indoors watching Netflix or something. So you get that whole day goes really quick. And you wake up.
Or Apple TV, yeah.
Other streaming platforms are available.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you wake up the next morning and it's done. That's it. You've put everything. Your life's been so focused on that one thing. Yeah, you've got the memories forever, saying you got married. Some it is forever. You've got that thing as well. But it's just that build up to that point, and that suddenly that's it. It's done. And I think this is a starting point, and this is where we start with the marathon blues.
So what you're saying is you've got post-marriage blues. Shall I tell her?
I've run for 25 years, yeah.
You're gonna get your ass kicked tonight, lad. You walk straight into that. But it's true though, isn't it? Actually, no, to be fair, that's a good whatever they call it, an
analogy.
Yeah, thank you very much. In terms of a reference point. It is a bit like that. You build this thing up for so long, and especially anybody doing like London or Manchester, it was their first like marathon, like I said to you. And they're building it up. And then Mother Nature, as I said, just sticks two fingers up and says, have some of that. And then you're like, not only did my race go to absolute toilet because of the heat, now I don't know what to do with myself. And then you're just struggling, and everybody over social media is like still posting pictures of it because they don't know what else to do with themselves. It's like rubbing it in, and you're just like, I just want to move away from this and move on to something else. It's really hard to do, and this is where we're going to step in. You're welcome. I would say, and I want you to listen to this, and we're going to dive into this. Okay. Firstly, we're going to talk about the sort of things to do after a training, but we are going to talk a little bit as well about post-marathon blues, and as you'd expect, they go over each other. But I wrote these 5 things down, and you're welcome for this, by the way, in what to do or what to prioritize after a training block. Okay, firstly, rest and sleep, my favorite thing to do. Struggling a little bit on that one at the moment. Secondly, and I'm going to come back to you, so write these down so don't forget, reflect and review, which is basically what we've been trying to do. And we are going to say we'll do that pre-record tonight, which is basically a reflect and review on how we got on this year. We'll put that out next week. This is an important one. Celebrate success, celebrate progress. You may not have viewed the race as a success because you didn't get that time that you told everybody you was going to do on social media, but it doesn't matter because you still celebrate the progress that you made, because you are probably a marathoner for the first time, or you've done your first London or whatever. You rebuild with cross training, and easy miles. And then you plan the next phase, not race, phase. Okay? These are the 5 things that I said about. Now, team, does any of that make any sense?
Certainly.
Ben looks like he's going to fall asleep. When I say rest and recovery, Ben, I don't mean live on the podcast.
Oh, I was just, giving an example.
Okay, so we're going to go through these quickly, and then we're going to go on to the post-marathon blues. So in terms from, I just seen Dennis, a girl from the club, ran a PB last week and got married today. Blimey, she's going to have double blues. Yeah, she's going to be really unhappy, Dennis. So look, firstly, and I've done this all week. Ben, have you run this week?
Nope.
Hayden, did you run the week after Boston?
No, not till the Saturday.
Marissa, you couldn't because you gave yourself shin splints. The body needs downtime, right? I've not run, by the way, and I don't plan to run probably till Monday. You need total rest, and then you need some light activity. So whatever shape or form that comes in is entirely up to you, right? And by the way, we're not just saying this, you have to do this. Is just some advice. The sleep is important, as we know. Why, Ben?
To allow your body to recover, and it helps your mind recover, for me.
Boost muscle repair.
Yeah.
Hormone balance as well. And then the other side of things in terms of the recovery, and this is entirely up to you, because I know some people do this, and I personally wouldn't, is like sports massages and stuff like that, rolling and things like that, the sort of recovery. Would you say you guys do genuinely prioritize that, or you just get on with it? And any of you?
Definitely prioritise rest. Rest for me is absolutely priority. As you said, it's that healing process. Your body's going to heal. The body's incredible. People do unbelievable things to their body, and it repairs itself. But you've got to give it that time. You've got to give it that helping hand. It's never going to repair itself if you keep smashing it to do more and more and more and keep tearing muscle. So yeah, for me, definitely resting for it.
Moving on to the reflect and review. You 3. Did you look back, not at the race, but at your training blocks and say what went well, what didn't? Did you hit certain? I don't know, because I don't coach 2 of you. One of you I do, and one of you got a lot of bollockings for not doing any running through it. But
I didn't need to reflect or review.
No, you get it weekly. You get it daily. Why are you not running, stupid boy? But no, do you review your training, not your race, your training block? You do, Marissa.
I do, only briefly though. I do review it, so I have reviewed the last training block, and I know exactly where I went wrong.
Oh, tell us.
You want me to tell you?
Yeah, it'll be a short answer because they usually are. Go.
I got shin splints. There you go.
Yeah, but why did you get the shin splints? Have you worked that out yet?
Yeah, I know exactly why I got shin splints.
Tell us.
Because I've moved to an area that's hilly. So literally I cannot go left or right for a run without going up a hill.
So nothing to do with the lack of cross-training strength work?
No, because I've been really good at strength and cross training. Really good.
Really good. And when you say really good, tell us what you exactly.
So my daughter's my coach, my PT.
Right.
And my strength was really, really good.
Okay.
Until I got shin splints.
I think we're going to have to continue to argue this off air.
Okay.
Hayden.
Yeah, no, I always look back at the block. I find myself looking back more at the block when it comes to preparing for another block. Because afterwards, unless if things go wrong with you in the race, you maybe want to look back and reflect. Or if things go really well, you might want to look back and reflect. But sometimes just, as you said before, rest, recover, just get some time to yourself. But then when it comes to the next phase and the next block you're doing, for me, that's the time when you should look back and reflect. Because then you can adjust, think to yourself, actually, in that last block, I went up to 20 miles 5 times. I was a bit knackered on marathon day. I'm going to drop that down to 4 times. So for me, that reflection element is a lot better when it comes to your second sort of phase, your second plan, and it's a lot more useful.
I wonder, right? And again, I'm not deliberately being antagonistic. I wonder how many people, and I'd like to know the answer to this, guys. So if you are joining us live, can you please put an honest answer in? If you are on a Cooper or a runner app or something like that, can you be honest and say that's driving your train? Can you honestly say that once you finish that training, but do you actually review your training? Or do you just move on to the next thing? I'd be interested to know. I'm not. There's no right or wrong answer there. I'm just interested to know whether the mentality of people, whether they just go, right, that was done. I smashed that. I didn't. Next thing, or whether they actually do that. Because I suppose when it's all put in front of you, like that, and it's telling you what to do, which is good because that's what you want, right? Oh, but there's no review process. It's like you either did it or you didn't do it, sort of thing, isn't it? Again, I don't know. I'd be genuinely interested to know. Yeah, go on, you look like you're either going to poo yourself or say something.
Both. With this shirt. No, I think Hayden had a really valid point. So I think what we tend to do is like the week before the end of the block, we'll kind of almost rate our training block. But actually, which I quite like not having done the race, because actually it's then what do we think went well or not. But actually then taking that forward as you're prepping for the next one, I like that element to adjust. Because actually, and that's conversations that we've had of, okay, where was the struggle? What do I want to try different in this block? Because actually, we probably did a lot more 20 milers in this block, and that was
we spoke about that.
Yeah, which was good considering I didn't really do any other running.
Didn't do any much running.
Yeah. So I think it's almost that. Do you double review? What do you do?
Me?
Yeah.
I've been really struggling with it all, to be honest. I'll be genuinely serious. I've been struggling with it all. I actually recorded a video that goes out not this weekend. This weekend's the London Marathon weekend video. But the weekend after is my reflection on my training block. Now, so I kind of do it in the public eye. I record it. I just put the camera on and I talk into the camera and sort of review my own training block. I don't review the races because they're a byproduct, or as I always say, they're a byproduct of your training to a degree, right? That's why, again, I always say about I don't run times, because the time will take care of itself based on my training, right? Again, Mother Nature may turn around and go, you ain't having none of that today, boy. But usually there's a correlation, isn't it? But yeah, I think wait for that video. But yes, I review mine at the end of each block, my training block. And this one in particular has been a real struggle. But I talk about that again. So I don't have a coach to review it to, and I do wish I had a coach to review it to be honest, because I think it would really benefit me. But I review it to my YouTube subscribers. Who then go into the comments and criticize me. Brilliant. You make you feel well good. I don't know what I do, stupid man. Look, so here's some things. So Mark said, I'm reviewing my Cooper, but that's because my subscription has ended. Where is it? Has ended. Again, as all the runs are still on my Garmin, I'm going to reuse them for free. Okay, that's nice, but that doesn't answer my question, does it?
No, because there's no progress. No, all respect to Mark, there's no progress there. So if you're happy exactly the same, you want to do exactly the same, then yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, if you want to accomplish exactly what you just did or worse, then great. But try and move forward. Yeah, I use Run and just move on. To be honest, I periodically look back and review my blocks on Strava, but mostly I'm one block to next. So again, there's no sort of review. I don't use an app. Okay, but you do it. So yeah, it doesn't look like Josh does though. He uses runner. I've reviewed it in chunks of 4, so he does. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's how, I suppose it's how you are different. I don't know how that works in terms of the stuff. So look, moving on, right? Because I think this is the second most important part of the sort of what to do after training, but celebrating the progress, which is what Mark just mentioned. And so he's happy and again, it's no criticism of Mark, and I don't blame him for free, right? But he's taken what he's got and he's going to do it again. Celebrating progress, yeah. It doesn't matter. That's what I was talking to my runners about the last week, basically, and after Brighton, which was tough as well. Is to celebrate actually how amazing the training was. Some of them come back from injury. Some of them have done the distance for the first time. Big shout out to Laura. And some of them have trained really hard. Like, honestly, look at Michael Sandiford, just as an example. On a normal day, he's going to kill me for saying it, but 225 was on, right? Honestly, he was an absolute animal in training. He was like a machine. But Mother Nature said no, but he accepted it eventually and has now moved on, right? But it's that sort of thing where, but his progress is unbelievable. And it's the same for all my runners in terms of the progress that they've made, because we always try and progress through a block. Sometimes, something crops up, like Simon with his Boston training. He was suffering from injuries, but to come back from that injury and finish Boston in the shape that he has is testament to him in terms of the progress you make. It's not all about the times. Yeah, sometimes there's a human element to it, and that's again, what you've got to judge is what adversity have you beaten, what progress have you made? Are you more consistent? Are you not necessarily just in the running, but like Dawn with her strength training, like she's an absolute machine. Yeah, but you look at the progress they make in small areas, and they're the things that you should be celebrating, not just looking at the times.
As you just said, yeah, it's how you define the progress, isn't it? There's too many people, as we talked about earlier on, too many people, they define the progress as I run this marathon at 4 hours 30. I've just done London at 4 hours 10. Everything must have been perfect. That's not always the case, because there's a possibility you could have run London at 3 hours 30 if you'd have done things differently. It's not just about that definition of progress is just time-based. That is where a lot of people are making that mistake.
Yeah, and it's not. And I want you to, and I mean, you do what you like, but honestly, I'd review it like I just said, and then I'd celebrate the progress you've made. Forget what the time is, but just look at what you've done in that 12-week block, wherever you are on your journey, right? In terms of rebuilding, right? Because it's important after the training, but you've got to listen to your body, come back. I think the best place to start is with cross training first, to be honest.
I thought you was going to say the kitchen.
No. Although I'm very much enjoying
that's the recovery.
I'm enjoying the 100 bags of crisps my friends brought me, and I'm down to about 20 left. But like, the pool, the stupid bike thing. Poor old Buds has got no legs at the moment, or his paws are basically falling off. Walking the dog, things like that. Anything, cross training, but like low impact stuff to start with. It's really good. And then just dropping in some of those easy miles and just sort of rebuild yourself. But I've done it for my clients. A lot of them, I've not even put any sessions on their plans. I mean, they're all like freaking out. Like they're all a bit nervous and a bit twitchy. Like, what do you mean I don't have to run? No, I want you to go out and run, but do whatever you like. Turn your watch off. I couldn't care less. I just want you to go out and run. Do it whenever you want. Whatever you feel like. As long as it's not like hill sprints, I'm pretty relaxed. Do you know what I mean? And then we'll come back into some form of structure when you feel like you're ready to do it. Yeah, Ben, you look like you can either poo or talk.
No, I was just like, in my head, I'm thinking, I don't need to put it on Strava. So can I say that's what I did at the start of this year?
But no, you was walking your dog. That's what you put on Strava.
Well, exactly. But no, I think you're right. I think it is that element of you've got to do what you feel kind of comfortable doing. I went to the gym today. That was my first bit. other than walking the dog, which isn't on Strava, so it didn't count. But other than
peer pressure.
yeah, exactly. But other than that, this week I've taken that opportunity just to kind of almost decompress and just go. My legs, honestly, my legs this week have been in worse shape than they were, and I think it's part of the heat. I had a sports massage as well that was excruciating, but my legs have just felt gone, and I'm like, I don't want to run. I think it's really important to take that time out, otherwise you lose that enjoyment out.
I've got no interest in running at the moment, like zero. Like honestly, I really could care less for it. But I know that's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm going fishing, lovely. I'm doing the garden, lovely. I'm running the kids about, perfect, brilliant, right? And I think it's it's good not to have stuff on a watch to tell you what to do, or an app on what to do, or you've written down in your notes 5 times that morning on the train to work. It's good not to have any of that after you've done a big block like we have, and it's important. You rebase, you recenter, and then when you're ready to come back, then as I said, you rebuild with cross training and easy miles.
Chris, can I ask you a question about your coaching, actually? So Mark, it's back on the back of Mark's comment. Mark said, it would be interesting to know if I did sign up again for a block, would it be exactly the same sessions I did before? Has the app moved on? That would be interesting from an app perspective, because no disrespect to the apps, I doubt, let's just say you wanted to run a 4-hour marathon and you went to Cooper, Runner, whatever you did, and they gave you that plan and you hit 3:59.59. When if your next marathon, you thought, you know what, I want to do the 4-hour again. I wonder if the app, because of the way it works, if it'd be exactly the same. And with you as a coach, this is my question to you. Go back to say Dawn wanted 3:40. She run 3:40. If she said again, I want 3:40 again, would her plan be different, or would you keep it exactly the same?
No, I've changed it. I've changed all of them.
Yeah, but she's going for a faster time, so you'd have to. I'm talking about if she wanted to go for the same time.
I'll use Chris as a better example.
Yep.
If I may, he's got Yorkshire now. Hopefully, he doesn't mind me talking about him. But with Chris, we did a training block for him to run a pretty competitive time at London, but it didn't work. And he's got Yorkshire booked in. So what I've done for him is, and I have done the same for Dawn as well, to be honest. I've changed their plans totally on their heads. I put new sessions in. I've freshened everything up. I've given different sort of structure for each. And I've rebalanced it a little bit. So it is different. The aim of the block is fundamentally the same thing. She's going for a time in Chicago. Chris is not. But ultimately, I'm looking to build on what they've done. So I've switched things around. If they were going for exactly the same time, I would still freshen it up. Because there's nothing worse than a lazy runner and a non-committed runner, because then they become inconsistent. So as a coach, my job is firstly to deliver sessions that's going to progress them, but do it in a way that they are going to actually do the sessions and be consistent and show up and put effort in. If they're doing the same thing for this block again, then I'm not going to get the best out of them. Also, there is a flip side to it. There is a positive side of things about doing the similar sort of sessions, right? Because they don't have to worry about what they're doing. They just do the effort. So they go, oh, it's that one. Right, I'm going to go and do this. That's not a bad thing. And I've done that before, because if I'm not getting, or if I'm looking to get something in terms of consistency, I may throw the same sessions. But there is a real benefit for mixing it up. Even though I'm going to get probably the same result, I want to mix it up. And like I said to Chris today, what I actually want to do for his next London block, as we're always working, is actually take elements of this block, because he's got some hard stuff in there. He's not getting away with it lightly, but also the stuff from the previous one. And then we're going to put them in there. Whatever he liked, whatever he didn't like, I might put a little bit of that in there as well. But we're then going to take that for London. Does that make sense? Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think so. So off the top of your head, like you wouldn't know the answer to it, what is your gut feeling that the app would do if you went for exactly the same time at a marathon, the next marathon block? That someone has gone for 4 hours at Brighton with Runner, and then wants to do 4 hours at Yorkshire with Runner. Do you think they're giving exactly the same?
I know you might make that, but I don't actually want to be critical of them, because I don't know the AI. Obviously, it's AI driven, so it would be based on parameters that you put into it. So whereas a coach, I will listen to them. They will say to me, oh, actually, well, we'd have just had the information from the block. But I'd have seen where they struggled. I've spent time looking through everybody's training block, where they've missed, where they've not missed. We get, all that sort of stuff, where they struggle, where they didn't struggle. That's the stuff I've looked at. And I've then tried to build a plan around also to test them, but not to test them. But I've got that human element. I've had the conversations with them over the last 16 weeks. I know Ben's sitting there. I know where he struggled. I spent a lot of time with Ben. He's sitting there and he hated me for it. And I confessed to him at one point. I said to him, I've just spent the last 8 weeks for you building your aerobic engine back up again because it went to shit after you went and done that dopey challenge. Ben, be fair.
It's true.
I made him run with me really slowly, right? My speed, normal people speed. I made him do that for about 8 weeks, right? But my sole purpose with it, I didn't tell him it, but my sole purpose was to slow him down and build his aerobic engine up again, because he went to, he did, after that dopey challenge, he lost that edge. And the only reason he was able to run 2:55 in Paris is because when I built that for him, without him knowing, I then sent him off to do that hard work. But he couldn't have done that without doing that work, because he'd have got.
We did have that conversation.
Yeah,
afterwards. I didn't know.
Yeah, I didn't tell him after, but that's what I was doing. So I had to, and again, he'd just come out of a block, right? But I changed it on his head, even though he was going Paris about the same sort of time as what he'd done Berlin in. We was looking to consolidate, because this is the other thing. This is what another thing I like to do is I always work towards one race, one A race, one thing. Yeah, because you've got half times 10Ks, but whatever that goal is, we work towards that. Everything we factor in is around that. But at the same time, I like to have a block where we consolidate. Yeah, so where we establish, we rebase where we are. So we had already said that spring was going to be rebasing, reestablishing. So effectively, what you're saying, Hayden, we was going for roughly the same sort of time. But I wanted him to run under 3. But I wanted him to run under 3 with less hassle. Not that it was a hassle before, Ben, but it was with less hassle. Yeah, with less pressure, and to go and maintain. It's like when you say, I need you to run, a certain number of half marathons at a certain pace before I can actually truly believe that we can do this sort of thing in my mind, which is what I said to you as well. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't let him go to that next step until I'd seen progress on the half marathon. But for that block for Paris, I actually changed it for him, because I made him do that 8 weeks of aerobic building work. And that's the difference that I did. So to answer your question, an AI would never do that, because it hasn't got the human element. It's not speaking to you. It's not asking you. It's not seeing you. It's not understanding you as a human being. And that's what you pay for.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
This is the thing, isn't it?
That's the caveat. Yeah, absolutely.
That's the caveat. It's not cheap, is it? No. All right, I'm cheaper than a lot of them out there on the lowest level. But it's, there's not much difference between me and Runner, for example, on the lowest level. But you're not going to get as much engagement as you would do at the higher level. But the AI is brilliant up until a point, but it never factors in that human element, which is where you see the most progress. And again, this all comes down to money, which is a sad state of affairs, but it comes down to money. But I see it in the group coaching that I do on a Tuesday. The progress down the guys and girls are doing down there. Ben, you see it as well. 100%. When they come consistently, it always goes back to the usual things. When they actually come consistently, you see huge progress. Look at Mark.
I was going to say Mark, yeah.
Yeah, Mark at Hartford. I'm now coaching him 1-to-1 because he's just beat his 5K time. I took him on a little while ago, but he was so consistent there, and he was like, "Oh, wow, I wonder what I could actually achieve." Lucky enough to be able to afford it, right? So we then converted him into that. And he's now smashing the living daylights out of his 5K time just in the week. It's incredible.
Just for fun.
But the reason is because he's consistent. And it goes back. So you don't necessarily need a coach to be consistent. You need to have the right, application of what you're trying to do to then turn up and improve. But there's so many elements, the cross training. Mark absolutely, does a lot of cross training. You need all those elements, the rest, the recovery. And that kind of thing.
But there's also built into that, and this is something we had for Berlin, is that you spotted that I was injured, right? Yeah. You remember, and you were like, just take a few days off. Now you're not going to get that from, unless I'd had a conversation with you, you're not going to get that. So you've got that element that is kind of available, but you've also got, I think, one key thing is marathons and any race that you're kind of training for is psychological. Like a lot of it is psychological, and actually having, I said to you before I'd even said I want to do sub 3, I was like, do you think I can do it? And if you'd have said no, then that's straight away. Whereas actually we're like, yes, you can. And that gives that confidence to kind of go, okay, well, I've got someone that I'm accountable to now, and that someone that believes in me.
Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? As I said, a lot of it comes down to obviously money. No one can afford. Most people, normal people, can't afford to go and get a coach, and that's where the apps are brilliant, because it gives people the chance to get some, structure, consistency in their life, and an easy form, and an easy package at a price point that suits them, and that's where they should be commended. I think that's where they're brilliant.
Definitely.
I get slightly irritated when I see, apps going on about, you can come do it on the app because you won't get this at your run club because it's not very welcoming and all this sort of stuff. That's total nonsense. They're just trying to get you to buy their stuff. But actually, when you strip all that bullshit away from their marketing, they actually do a very good job in terms of giving like everyday runners the opportunity to get some structure, to get some help with their running. I think that's brilliant. Somebody just mentioned Ben Parks there. Ben Parks' training plans are meant to be very good. So fair play to Ben as well. His stuff, people who follow his stuffs, everyone I've ever spoken to have always said that how good they are in terms of the training plan. So big shout out to Ben and the stuff that he does that you can get on his website. So that it is good that it's out there. But again, it's like that. It's that thing, isn't it? It's how far do you take it? How much do you want to progress? How much do you want to take your journey to one way or the other, isn't it, really? And I think that's ultimately up to you. And again, we try and wrap it up, but in terms of planning your next phase, what is that next phase? What does that look like for you as a runner? Are you going to move on to big shout out to Katie, moving on to Ironman? Or you're going to go and do what I'm doing, which is a triathlon, even though I can't swim. Or you're going to go and do, something else, whatever it is. What's that next phase look like for you? Are you going to try and take all that learning like Mark did from that marathon training block and go and do a marathon in the spring next year because you feel like you've got unfinished business? I don't know. It's up to you, innit? But I think it's one thing that sort of can help you after a training block is to sit down and maybe write yourself some goals down there. It's interesting, isn't it? Like, this is what I want to achieve. And this is how I'm going to do it. I mean, did you write any goals down after? Did you think to yourself, Ben, after London, right, this is what I want to do now?
No, you text me.
Other than eat.
No, you text me and told
Actually, I did. To be fair, proper coach. I was straight on to him and said, right, you're doing this next.
So I don't need to, because you do it for me.
Yeah,
but we'd already had conversations. I think after Paris, right, that was probably more the one. I'd messaged you and gone, right, I want to do this next. Yeah. You've changed it, but it's fine.
Marissa?
Chicago again. So I've got Loch Ness, and then I've got Chicago the week after, but Chicago is my race of the year.
A race.
Yeah.
Are you going to be all right by then?
I'm going to be fine next week.
I'm worried about this knee.
No, don't worry about money. Money's fine. I'm going to be fine.
Hayden?
Yeah, I think one of the ways to get the marathon blues as well is to plan these sort of things way in advance. So sort of like, you knew London was coming up, so maybe have things sort of booked in. It doesn't have to be races, booked in for the next couple of months. It might even be the weekend after. That weekend you're going to spend a night away with your husband or your missus or your kids or the family, or the weekend after you're going to go to the cinema with the kids. Have sort of like things planned in so that blues doesn't get a chance to kick in. And races is definitely one of them. I know now what race I've got coming up. June, September, October, November, and they're on the calendar. So that's, again, we're getting to that thing now where I'm getting to the beginning of the point where I'm thinking, now I'm starting, now I'm building that whole long process, like the wedding, start getting married again. And I'm going to go all the way through this whole process all again, right up to that day, and absolutely love it. It's just a cycle. It keeps going, and motivationally, it's definitely the way to kick yourself up the bum and get over the marathon.
It's a positive thing. It is a positive thing. And you'll see it in that video that I alluded to about my training. I actually turn it on its head at the end. Because you say it can actually reinvigorate you, if you do review what your training block was like, it can actually give you some real motivation. I talked to my therapist on the Friday before London Marathon, and I was like, To be honest with you, I'm so over London Marathon. I'm not even fussed about it. I want to do this, and this. I couldn't care, not be blamed. I couldn't care less about the race. The race is a separate element. I'll do it and then I'll forget about it. I'm so focused on doing this, and this. That's what I'm into now. And that's important because, as you say, it does motivate. I think the thing I want to finish on, just seeing the time, and I think this is really important for every single person who may be struggling with post-marathon blues. And I only wrote one thing down for post-marathon blues, right? And anything is not necessarily just a marathon blues, but maybe you've done a half marathon. Maybe you're like catch the 5K and you're done and you don't know what to do yet. I just want you to stop, right? And I just want you to what I've wrote down is reconnect you with your why. Why the hell did you start this thing in the first place? Why the hell did you just go and run the London Marathon? Why the hell did you just absolutely break yourself for that half marathon? What was the reason that you started? What was the reason that you signed up for that? Whatever that is, reconnect with it. So whether it's you want to lose weight, you want to get, I don't know, raise so much money for that charity that means so much to you. You run for your mental health. You run because you like the social aspect of it, like you did. But obviously now you've done this London thing and it's just like, can't remember what it was like going to club and not having to worry about stuff. Or you stopped going to club. And we see this a lot within the satellite structure. I see it at Harvard. Drives me nuts. They don't come to club because they're so obsessed with their London Marathon train or Manchester Marathon train. Okay, I understand that. I respect it massively. It's frustrating. But come back into that element. Reconnect with the why. You know, and I think that will absolutely switch you around. So whatever reason it was that you run, or you did that thing, figure what that was, and reconnect with it, and it will switch you. It will just turn it on its head. And I think that's the best way to finish, don't you, Ben?
Or you could do what Stevie said, go and spend $500 on a pair of super shoes.
Yeah,
you could do that. You could do that, or go to Japan and get them for free. It's up to you, Stevie. It's entirely up to you. Marissa, have you got any closing thoughts other than that your knees stopped hurting because I've soothed it with my dulcet tones?
God, you soothe something else as well. My brain cells.
It's not very nice. You've got to do a record after this.
No, I've got nothing to add. We're all good. Yeah, go and buy some trainers, maybe.
Just go, but become a 40 Rounds affiliated club member next week. Remember, next week, and get your 15% off of sports shoes. I make you laugh. I'll give him a shout out. Even my bro is smashing the life out of sports shoes at the moment with his 15% off. I did a video on a pair of New Balance shoes that are so good. They're so cheap, right? And he was so happy that he got them 15% off. He messaged me today because he's got to do the park run next week. So he's invested in these because I did a video about these shoes, these New Balance. They're like 50 quid or something like that. And so he's splashed the cash in. He's a bit tight, my brother, and he's going to kill me. But he spent because he's an affiliate member. He got the 15% off. So he's loving life. So there you go. So do that. Go over there and smash. Actually, Dawn's on that as well. Everyone's on there smashing the life out of it. I think that's one way. Good cure that is, Marissa. Good way to finish. If in doubt, buy running shoes. That's a great way to finish the show.
Might not be able to wear them, but buy them.
Yeah, we got to go because we got to do another recording. Thanks genuinely to everybody who's joined us for this extended show. You're all welcome for us being here longer. Imagine if you was getting charged for this. But yes, thank you to everybody for staying late tonight. Thanks to Ben for not pooing himself through this show because he looks like he does need to go again. Hayden, you need to cheer up because we've got to do another record. And Marissa, I hope your knee gets better by the time we do the next show. Good, so take us out, Ben.
Bye, boys.